Want to know about your routines and your daily habits in this life? Well, I am here to tell you all about your routine planet based on astrology. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Hannah and welcome back, Cosmic Warriors. Now, before we do dive into today's video, if you want to learn more about astrology, then head on over to the Cosmic Check-In podcast. And if you would like to book a reading with me, then go to hannahselsewhere.com. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's do this. Alright, so before we start, which house is your sixth house ruler in? Let me know in the comment section. If you don't know, by the way, there is a quick guide attached to help you out. Okay, so let's explain the sixth house. The sixth house in astrology can tell us a thing or two about our occupation, our work. So the kind of work you do daily, what is the type of role you take on? Do you work from home or within an office? Maybe you work outdoors, maybe you travel for work. Now, this is quite different to that of the 10th house, okay? So the 10th house, midheaven area, is more about your life's work, your purpose, long-term accomplishments and achievements. But you see, the sixth house still plays a significant role when describing what your role or position might be. The sixth house is also largely about health. Therefore, the ruler of your sixth can tell you something about your health, your stress levels, plus your productivity levels, your to-do lists, your routines, schedules, daily habits, rituals, the relationship you have with co-workers, employees, even pets, right? It is also then a house where we refine our skills. How we are of service, which kinds of services do we offer, how helpful are we, how do we even treat members of service like the mechanic or the gym attendant. Naturally, our fitness levels and diet are shown via this house, and so when locating the sixth house ruler, you will learn about these areas as well. Though today, we will focus primarily on your daily routines and everyday habits. So on that note, let's get into it. If your sixth house ruler resides within the first house in your chart, your routines and everyday habits tend to play a big role in your life. In that, how you direct your life, the kinds of goals you go after, or the aims you have, well, they are massively shaped by your routines. For example, if you seek to run a marathon one day, that could be a goal of yours, right? You will make it your mission to practice, to pencil in the time, to improve your diet, your fitness. Maybe a big part of this is for appearance reasons, health reasons, just to look after your body as well. Naturally, this also does depend on the planet and sign, because someone with Aries on the sixth house, with Mars and Scorpio in the first, well, there is certainly a greater and much stronger determination present. But then take someone with Libra on the sixth house, then Venus is in Taurus in the first house. You might not be all or nothing, right? You're not as all or nothing or all consuming about the process. Perhaps consistent, yes, and determined, but the process is much more slower. Heck, someone with Sagittarius on the sixth with Jupiter in Cancer in the first, well, they may be more of a family person. They travel for work, but the routines they follow are so they can support their family. It's almost like the job they do is a big reflection of how they can support their family. Still, with the sixth house ruler in your first, your routines and habits paint your outlook on life. You might come across as a work driven individual, actually, as someone who is always on the move, or you have many errands to run and tasks to do, plenty of daily responsibilities to keep you occupied. I imagine you greeting someone for the first time and all you seem to talk about is your job, work. Though a challenge you may face is worrying about the kind of person you would be without your job or without a role to fill. Or it could be that stress is an issue of concern. If your sixth house ruler resides within the second house, your routines and everyday habits are strongly linked to your finances and money. You might possess this attitude of time is money, so why are we sitting here all day long wasting time when we could be making money? Your work could involve money, banking, investments, security, protection services. Perhaps you're quite frugal with your finances, or you take some time out of your week or your day to review your spending, how you save, how you budget, how you manage your finances. So these things are all very much tied in with your routines. And so you'll make time for looking over such areas. Then again, this could also play out as your routines involving practice, right? So practicing your skills and talents is really, really important to you. Whether this be music skills, art, media, writing, communication. Naturally, this does also depend on the planet and sign. So someone with Gemini on the 6th, with Mercury in Aquarius in the 2nd, well, they might prefer to improve upon their technology skills, media, research, writing, learning. Or someone with Cancer on the 6th, with Moon in Pisces in the 2nd house, they might practice their skills of art, creativity, fantasy, imagination, reading. They are quite contemplative or perhaps wishful about their money. Still, with the 6th house ruler in the 2nd, your routines and habits provide you with security and comfort. Perhaps you are a pretty security-focused person. You value your routines for this reason because they're able to keep you safe, right? Safe, supported, grounded. Though a challenge you may face is worrying about your income. Something to be mindful of is taking on too much only to feel pretty awful later. If your 6th house ruler resides in the 3rd, your routines and everyday habits are strongly linked to your everyday conversations and general chit-chat. You might spend a good portion of your time speaking with a variety of different people, making small talk, checking in, making calls, answering emails, networking, learning, collaborating. Perhaps your job involves driving a vehicle, or you find yourself being on the move quite a bit throughout the day. For work purposes, going between buildings, locations, having to deliver messages and information between 2 or more parties. Or this could look like you checking in on siblings daily or catching up on a regular basis. Perhaps your routines and your habits are also closely linked with your education. Sort of taking the skills you learned at school and applying them to a work role perhaps. Or this could look like you taking on many learning programs for work purposes. Naturally, this does depend on the planet and sign. Someone with Aquarius on the 6th, with Uranus and Scorpio in the 3rd, their routines might involve sudden surprises within their local area and community. Though still conducting a lot of research perhaps for work purposes. Or someone with Leo on the 6th, with Sun in Taurus in the 3rd house, their routines are much more steady and consistent. Still, with the sixth house ruler in the 3rd house, your routines and habits give you something to talk about. Though a challenge you may face is how you make everyday decisions due to there just being, so much going on at once. If your 6th house ruler resides in the 4th house in your chart, your routines and everyday habits are strongly linked to your family and your home life. So, for example, you might prioritize family time or you make the effort to get together with loved ones, with those you cherish the most. Perhaps baking, cooking, gardening are parts of your routine, your everyday. Or it's that you like to spend the majority of your time at home. Even whenever you're in work, you can't wait to get home. You can't wait to get home and put your feet up, put your cozies on. Or this could look like your work involving real estate, interior design, caregiving, hospitality, human resources, as if you can take care of the needs of others. You might even be appreciated by your coworkers, by just for being really supportive, right? For being supportive. Naturally, of course, this does depend on the planet and sign. Someone with Virgo on the 6th, with Mercury and Cancer in the 4th, well, they could certainly fit the view of someone who works from home, or they show up, they do their job, and then they go home again. Okay, they repeat that process, possibly staying in a role for years, because it provides them with security, right? They can support their family. But then take someone with Pisces on the 6th, with Jupiter and Capricorn in the 4th. They might be working towards their home and family dreams, possibly. And so their routines reflect their dreams. They strive to be successful within their role. Still, with the 6th house ruler being in the 4th house, your routines and habits are tied to your emotional needs and your security here. Though a challenge you may face is taking your work worries, your work problems home with you. Some separation then is advised. Using the Placidus system, the 6th house ruler is in the 4th in my chart. Aquarius is on the 6th, with Uranus and Capricorn in the 4th, and I struggle with work-home separation, and I guess a big part of that too is because I actually work from home. Moving on then, so if the 6th house ruler resides in the 5th house in your chart, your routines and daily habits, everyday habits, are strongly linked to your creativity and your art. Your everyday tasks involve creating, following your passions, your interests, possibly sports, exploring your hobbies, entertainment. Perhaps it's also important to you that you make time for your romantic relationships. Your work might involve storytelling, drama, self-expression, art, performance, entertaining others. Could also involve working closely with children, possibly, creating plays and scripts, letting out your inner child. Or it could be that your routines are somehow tied to your children, basing your routines around your children, perhaps taking some time off work to raise your children. Naturally, this does depend on the planet and sign. So take someone with Cancer on the 6th house, with Moon and Gemini in the 5th. They might be quite fluctuating when it comes to routines, when it comes to work, but their childlike, youthful spirit keeps them going. They could actually be great at educating children, teaching their own children as well. But then take someone with Taurus on the 6th, with Venus and Aries in the 5th. Well, they might be very passionate and enthusiastic about their art, about their creativity. They might make money from their creations. Still, with the 6th house ruler residing in your 5th, your routines and habits give you life. Yes, it's about having fun and making time for play. Though I suppose a challenge here is that you may not want to take on the boring stuff because you don't find those things to be very, very exciting. Using the Placidus system, the 6th house ruler resides in the 5th in my chart. Aquarius is on the 6th, Saturn is in Aquarius in the 5th. Whilst my routines involve me exploring and using my creativity, the results for my efforts are not going to come right away. Saturn, you see, is about dedication and longevity. If the 6th house ruler resides in the 6th, okay, your routines and your everyday habits can, well, essentially rule your life. Right away, of course, this does depend on the planet and the sign. So someone with Pisces on the 6th, with Jupiter in Pisces in the 6th, they might find that their routines are quite tricky to keep up with. They might want to escape the everyday and not want to participate in it when it feels too overwhelming. But then take someone with Scorpio on the 6th, with both Mars and Pluto in Scorpio in the 6th. They might be much more focused, determined. Heck, being able to just shut off could be a massive challenge for them. I know for myself, so just using the whole sign system, Aquarius is on the 6th, and then Saturn is in Aquarius in the 6th, with the Sun and Mercury. Let's just say that I have faced many challenges when it comes to figuring out routines that work for me. A lot of experimenting has been involved, but overall, I would say that I'm very disciplined and I prefer to keep myself on track. Still, with the 6th house ruler residing in your 6th, your routines and your habits might involve being of service, helping others, wanting to show up in practical ways for others, making time for exercise, being health conscious, being the coworker who assists with no complaints, providing excellence, seeking to refine your skills and craft, plenty of practice, offering practical advice and guidance. Perhaps being a little hard on yourself throughout the day or throughout the process is likely here. And I suppose a challenge you may face is, well, knowing when to take your foot off the gas, so to speak. Because, well, you could go on and on. Or you might feel like, well, nobody else is going to do it, so I guess I should. Perhaps this is where self-care can be helpful, or following the self-help advice that you tend to provide to others. I hope you are enjoying this video so far, and if you are, please make sure to like the video and subscribe for more. And if you are interested in learning more about astrology, then you can always pick up a copy of my astrology cheat sheets. The links are in the description box. Thank you so much. Moving on then to the 6th house ruler residing in your 7th. Your routines and everyday habits are strongly linked to your partnerships and your one-to-one relationships. So, for example, your day could be filled up with meetings and bookings and clients. Your work could really involve offering private services, one-to-one classes, perhaps health-related at that. Or maybe you work with a business partner closely or with a significant other. You run a business together, or it's that you open a business with a really close friend, right? Then again, this could also play out as you seeking a great deal of feedback for your services, for your work. Your routines and your schedules involve relationships strongly here. Of course, this does depend on the planet and the sign. So someone with Libra on the 6th, with Venus in Scorpio in the 7th, well, maybe they work closely with clients when it comes to their sexual health possibly, or their routines require a lot from them, right? Such as being on call for emergency purposes. Could be law enforcement, for example, or someone with Gemini on the 6th, with Mercury and Cancer in the 7th, their client relationships could involve caregiving, offering emotional support, providing comfort to others. And those relationships are tied to their routines, where they must sort of juggle many tasks and responsibilities. Still, with the 6th house ruler residing in your 7th, your routines and habits could very well involve connecting, relating, socializing, business, contracts. Though perhaps a challenge you may face is how your everyday habits and routines impact your relationships, right? This could look like, for example, your coworker relationships being more of a priority. Moving on to the 6th house ruler residing in your 8th house. Okay, so your routines and everyday habits are strongly linked to your joined sort of resources and finances. So for instance, you could decide to start a business with your spouse, or it's that you get into some debt because of a work situation. And so that can, of course, impact the finances that you share with another between your spouse, for example, such as leaving your job or being made redundant. This could also, of course, manifest as your routines just drastically changing because of the death situation, or because maybe a certain job or title closes, it changes. Could even be that it's that your work massively transforms you as a person, right? And then that within itself really transforms your routines. Still, your health could really come into focus here. Naturally, this does depend on the planet and the sign. So someone with Sagittarius on the 6th, with Jupiter in Aquarius in the 8th, they could very well gain a good bit of money after being made redundant, or they might receive an inheritance after a family member passes away, and they use that money to support them through a work situation. But then take someone with Capricorn on the 6th, with Saturn in Pisces in the 8th. Well, they are learning a few hard lessons about shared resources and repayments. They may possess many fears about work and supporting their relationships, yet there is a mighty resilience here that they possess. Their hard work pays off. Though overall, with the 6th house ruler residing in your 8th, your routines and your schedules could very well involve the paranormal, the occult, divination, psychology, making time for intimacy and deeper bonds. Though a challenge you may face is trusting coworkers, or trusting that you're supported job-wise. Moving on to the 6th house ruler residing in your 9th house. So your routines and everyday habits, they are strongly linked to your travel experiences, your higher education, self-exploration. For instance, your job might involve traveling, such as you being a flight attendant, a travel organizer, or your job might involve teaching, mentoring, being a publisher, a writer, an editor, a journalist, perhaps a reporter. Of course, this depends on the planet and the sign. So someone with Taurus on the 6th, with Venus and Leo in the 9th, they could quite literally teach children or publish stories. Their routines could involve educating themselves in really entertaining and playful ways, or educating others in these ways. But then someone with Capricorn on the 6th, with Saturn in Aries in the 9th, they could be much more serious. They could be very much dedicated in terms of, okay, I'm going to dedicate my life to this study, to this craft, perhaps putting off travel plans until they qualify and secure a role that can really sort of set them up for life, right? A leadership or management position is likely. Still, with the 6th house ruler residing in your 9th house, your routines and your schedules could very well involve growth, development, learning more, exploring other lands and cultures, wanting to know all there is about a certain area or topic. And a challenge you may face is not wanting to be tied down by your everyday routines and errands, things like that, your daily chores, anything that restricts you basically from your thirst for knowledge, right? From seeking greater knowledge and exploration. Moving on to the 6th house ruler residing in your 10th house. So your routines and everyday habits are strongly linked to your long-term achievements and accomplishments. My father had Aquarius on the 6th, with both Saturn and Uranus, the rulers of Aquarius, residing in Gemini in the 10th. And he never stopped, okay? He was continuously working, wanting to provide for his family. He even reached retirement age and still continued working. Though, let's just think about this, because of course this can depend on the planet and the sign. So take someone with Leo on the 6th, with Sun in Sagittarius in the 10th. They could be a forever student, a forever teacher, someone who thrives within a teaching role, professionally speaking, of course, or someone whose routines heavily involve being on the move and acquiring knowledge. Then take someone with Virgo on the 6th, with Mercury and Capricorn in the 10th house. Well, they could be a hard worker, someone who works for the government, someone who dedicates their life to their purpose. They might be remembered for their writing, for their research. Still, with the 6th house ruler residing in your 10th, it's as if your work is a part of something much bigger, much larger. It's not just a job, you see. It's a part of your purpose. And therefore, your routines and your schedules involve determination, longevity, recognition, being known for your craft, being known for your services. Though a challenge you may face is, well, the added pressure, the added stress that can come with greater responsibility. Moving on to the sixth house ruler residing in your 11th house. Your routines and everyday habits are strongly linked to your networks, your friendships, your teams, your communities. For instance, you could spend a great deal of your time with groups such as being part of different clubs, organizing different classes, events, helping out within your communities, wanting to be a part of a team. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? Maybe your job also involves networking or actually running an organization, a company, a firm. Naturally, this does depend on the planet and the sign. So let's say someone with Cancer on the 6th house, right? So they could have Moon in Sagittarius in the 11th house. This could be where they're quite the people person, very warm, very generous with their friends, with their audience, with their fans on social media. It is emotionally satisfying to see their group members happy, and so their routines involve these areas. But then take someone with Aries on the 6th, with Mars in Virgo in the 11th. Well, they can be quite the leader within groups, great at leading teams, very hands-on and practical. A leader others can really rely on due to how organized and punctual, how dedicated they can be, how helpful they can be. Their routines may involve organizing events with friends. Still, with your 6th house ruler residing in the 11th, your routines and schedules involve groups of people, running the club, being charitable, giving within your friendships and your clubs and communities. Though a challenge you may face, of course, is, well, trying to please everyone within the group. And lastly, if your 6th house ruler resides in the 12th house, your routines and your everyday habits are strongly linked to your spiritual practices and periods of seclusion. So, for example, your routines must involve some form of escapism and just being able to switch off, right? Whether that be reading, bathing, meditating, playing video games, whatever it is. Perhaps you even seek to make time for Bible study, for prayer. Though another possibility is that your work involves helping others, maybe working within a hospital or a prison or within a rehab center, or it's that you have had to really take time off work, right? A considerable amount of time due to your health, right? So for health reasons. Getting on with your everyday routines and habits can be challenging at times, difficult to keep up. And so it is about finding what works for you. Naturally, this does depend on the planet and the sign. So let's say someone with Scorpio on the 6th, with Mars in Taurus in the 12th, this person could have really experienced a serious health scare, and so they are out of action for a bit. They might even spend a great deal of their time in and out of hospital. But then take someone with Sagittarius on the 6th, with Jupiter in Gemini in the 12th. Their mind could be going a million miles a minute. Difficult to slow down their thoughts. It's important for them to maybe take time to exercise, to move their body, to be active as a part of their routine. They might juggle far too many tasks at once, only to burn out later. Though essentially, with the 6th house ruler residing in the 12th, your routines and your schedules may involve healthy withdrawal, time alone. Or it's that you're really coming to learn valuable spiritual lessons about managing your routines, right? Though I would also say that a potential challenge you may face is trying to sleep at night due to worry, due to stress. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes today's video all about your routine planet based on astrology. I really hope that you find it to be helpful. And if you did, if you find it to be helpful, if you learned something new, you can always buy me a coffee. Make sure to subscribe for more, like the video if you liked it. Stay tuned for more, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye. Thank you.